May 24th. Letter from Lucy Westerna to Minnie Murray. My dearest Mina, thanks and thanks and thanks again for your sweet letter. It was so nice to be able to tell you and to have your sympathy. My dear, it never rains but it pours. How true the old proverbs are. Here I am, who will be 20 in September, and yet I never had a proposal till today. Not a real proposal, and today I've had 3. Just fancy 3 proposals in one day. Isn't it awful? I feel sorry, really and truly sorry, for 2 of the poor fellows. Oh, Mina, I'm so happy that I don't know what to do with myself. And 3 proposals! But for goodness sakes, don't tell any of the girls, or they would be getting all sorts of extravagant ideas and imagining themselves injured and slighted if in their very first day at home they did not get 6 at least. Some girls are so vain. You and I, Mina dear, who are engaged and are going to settle down soon soberly into old married women, can despise vanity. Well, I must tell you about the 3, but you must keep it a secret, dear, from everyone, except, of course, Jonathan. You will tell him, because I would, and if I were in your place, certainly tell Arthur. A woman ought to tell her husband everything. Don't you think so, dear? And I must be fair. Men, like women, certainly, their wives, to be quite as fair as they are, and women, I am afraid, are not always quite as fair as they should be. Well, my dear, number 1 just came before lunch. I told you of him, Dr. John Seward, the lunatic asylum man, with a strong jaw and a good forehead. He was very cool outwardly, but was nervous all the same. He had evidently been schooling himself as to all sorts of little things, and remembered them, but he almost managed to sit down on his silk hat, which men don't generally do when they are cool, and then, when he wanted to appear at ease, he kept playing with the lancet in a way that made me nearly scream. He spoke to me, Mina, very straightforwardly. He told me how dear I was to him, though he had known me so little, and what his life would be with me to help and would cheer him. He was going to tell me how unhappy he would be if I did not care for him. But when he saw me cry, he said that he was a brute and that he would not add to my present trouble. Then he broke off and asked if I could love him in time. And when I shook my head, his hands trembled, and then with some hesitation he asked me if I cared already for someone else. He put it very nicely, saying that he did not want to wring my confidence from me, but only to know, because if a woman's heart was free, a man might have hope. And then, Mina, I felt it a sort of duty to tell him that there was someone. I only told him that much, and then he stood up, and he looked very strong and grave as he took both my hands in his, and he said that he hoped I would be very happy, and that if I ever wanted a friend, I must count on him as one of my best. And oh, Mina dear, I can't help crying. And you must excuse this letter being all blotted. Being proposed to is all very nice and all that sort of thing, but it isn't at all a happy thing when you have to see a poor fellow whom you know loves you honestly going away and looking all broken-hearted, and to know that no matter what he may say at the moment, you are passing quite out of his life. My dear, I must stop here at present. I feel so miserable, though I am so happy. Later that evening. Arthur had just gone, and I feel in better spirits than when I left off, so I can go on telling you about the day. Well, my dear, number 2 came after lunch. He is such a nice fellow, an American from Texas, and he looks so young and so fresh that it seems almost impossible that he has been to so many places and has had so many adventures. I sympathize with poor Desdemona when she had a stream poured in her ear, even Well, I suppose that we women are such cowards that we think a man will save us from fears, and we marry him. I know what I would do if I were a man and wanted to make a girl love me. No, I don't, for there was Mr. Morris telling us his stories, and Arthur never told any, and yet, my dear, I am somewhat previous. Mr. Quincy P. Morris found me alone. It seems that a man always does find a girl alone. No, he doesn't, for Arthur tried to make a chance, and I helping him all I could. I'm not ashamed to say now. I must tell you beforehand that Mr. Morris doesn't always speak slang. That is to say, he never does so to strangers or before them, for he is really well educated and has exquisite manners. But he found out that it amused me to hear him talk American slang, and whenever I was present, and there was no one to be shocked. And I see, Bo. He said such funny things, I'm afraid. My dear, he has to invent it all, for it fits exactly into whatever else he has to say. But this is a way slang has. I do not know myself if I shall ever speak slang. I do not know if Arthur likes it, as if I never heard him use it. I have never heard him use any of it yet. Well, Mr. Morris sat down beside me and looked as happy and jolly as he could, but I could see all the same that he was very nervous. He took my hand in his, and he said ever so sweetly, "Miss Lucy, I know I ain't good enough to regulate the fixin's of your little shoes, but I guess if you would wait till you find a man that is you'll go join them 7 young women with the lamps when you quit. Won't you just hitch up alongside of me and let us go down the long road together, driving in double harness?" Well, he did look so good-humored and so jolly that it didn't seem half so hard to refuse him as it did Dr. Seward. So I said, as lightly as I could, that I did not know anything of hitching, and that I wasn't broken to harness at all yet. Then he said that he had spoken in a light manner, and he hoped that if he had made a mistake in doing so grave, so momentous an occasion for him, I would forgive him. He really did look serious when saying it, and I couldn't help but feeling a bit serious too. I know, Mina, you will think me a horrid flirt, though I couldn't help feeling a sort of exultation, and that he was number 2 in one day. And then, my dear, before I could say a word, he began pouring out a perfect torrent of love-making, laying his very heart and soul at my feet. He looked so earnest over it that I shall never again think that a man must be playful always, and never earnest, because he is merry at times. I suppose he saw something in my face which checked him, for he suddenly stopped, and said with a sort of manly fervor that I could have loved him for if I had been free. "Lucy, are you an honest-hearted girl? I know I should not be here speaking to you as I am now if I did not believe you a clean girl, right though to the very depths of your soul. Tell me, like one good fellow to another, is there anyone else you care for? And if there is, I'll never trouble you a hair's breadth again, but will be, if you will let me, a very faithful friend." My dear Mina, why are men so noble when we women are so little worthy of them? Here was I almost making fun of his great-hearted true gentleman. I burst into tears, I'm afraid, my dear. You will think this a very sloppy letter in more ways than one. And I really felt very badly. Why can't they let a girl marry 3 men, or as many as want her, and save all this trouble? But this is heresy, and I must not say it. I am glad to say that, though I was crying, I was able to look into Mr. Morris's brave eyes, and I told him straight. Yes, there is someone I love, though he has not yet told me that he even loves me. I was right to speak to him so frankly, for a light came into his face, and he put out both his hands and took mine. I think I put them into his, and he said in a hearty way, "That's my brave girl. It's better worth being late for chance of winning you than being in time for any other girl in the world. Don't cry, my dear. If it's for me, I'm as hard a nut to crack, and I'd take it standing up. If that other fellow doesn't know his happiness well, he better look for it soon, or he'll have to deal with me. Little girl, your honesty and pluck have made me a friend, and that's rarer than a lover, and it's more unselfish anyhow. My dear, I'm going to have a pretty lonely walk between this and kingdom come. Won't you give me one kiss? It'll be something to keep off the darkness now and then. You can, you know, if you like. For the other good fellow, he must be a good fellow, my dear, and a fine fellow, or you could not love him, hasn't spoken yet. That quite won me, Mina, for it was brave and sweet of him, and noble, too. To a rival, wasn't it? And he was so sad, so I leant over, and I kissed him. He stood up, with my 2 hands in his, and as he looked down into my face, I'm afraid I was blushing very much. He said, "Little girl, I hold your hand and you've kissed me, and if these things don't make us friends, nothing ever will. Thank you for your sweet honesty to me, and goodbye." He wrung my hand, and taking up his hat, went straight up out of the room without looking back, without a tear, or quiver, or a pause, and I'm crying like a baby. Oh, why must a man like that be made unhappy, when there are lots of girls about who would worship the very ground he trod on? I know I would be if I were free, only I don't want to be free, my dear. This quite upset me, and I cannot write of happiness just at once, after telling you of it, and I don't wish to tell you of the number 3 until it can all be happy. Ever your loving, Lucy. P.S. Oh, about number 3. I needn't tell you number 3, need I? Besides, it was all so confused. It seemed only a moment from his coming into the room till both his arms were round me and he was kissing me. I am very, very happy, and I don't know where I have done to deserve it. I must only try in the future to show that I am not ungrateful for all his goodness to me in sending to me such a lover, such a husband, and such a friend. Goodbye. May 25th. Dr. Seward's diary, kept in phonograph. Ebb tide, an appetite today. Cannot eat, cannot rest, so diary instead. Since my rebuff of yesterday, I have a sort of empty feeling. Nothing in the world seems of sufficient importance to be worth doing. As I knew that the only cure for this sort of thing was work, I went down amongst the patients. I picked out one who was afforded me a study of much interest. He is so quaint in his ideas and so unlike the normal lunatic that I have determined to understand him as well as I can. Today I seem to get nearer than ever before to the heart of his mystery. I questioned him more fully than I have ever done, with a view of making myself master of the facts of his hallucination. In my manner of doing, there was, I now see, something of cruelty. I seemed to wish to keep him to the point of his madness, a thing which I avoid with the patients as I would the mouth of hell. Memo. Under what circumstances would I not avoid the pit of hell? Omnia Roma vanalia sunt. Hell has its price. Verbal supplement. If there be anything behind this instinct, it will be valuable to trace it afterwards, accurately. So I had better commence to do it so, therefore. R. M. Renfield. Approximately 59. Sanguine temperament. Great physical strength. morbidly excitable, periods of gloom, ending in some fixed idea which I cannot make out. I presume that the sanguine temperament itself and the disturbing influence end in mentally accomplished finish. A possibly dangerous man, probably dangerous if unselfish. In selfish men, caution in as secure an armor for their foes as for themselves. What I think of on this point is that when self is fixed, the point of centripetal force is balanced with centrifugal. When duty, a cause, etc., is the fixed point, the latter force is paramount, and only accident or series of accidents can balance it. Letter, Quincy P. Morris, to Honoré Arthur Holmwood, May 25th. My dear Art, we've told yarns by the campfire in the prairies and dressed one another's wounds after trying a landing at the Marquesas and drunk healths on the shore of Tecate. There are more yarns to be told, and other wounds to be healed, and another health to be drunk. Won't you let this be at my campfire tomorrow night? I have no hesitation in asking you, as I know a certain lady is engaged to a certain dinner party, and that you are free. There will be only one other, our old pal at the Coria, Jack Seward. He's coming too, and we both want to mingle our weeps over the wine cup, and to drink a health with all of our hearts and the happiest man in all of the wide world, who has won the noblest heart that God has ever made, and the best worth winning. We promise you a hearty welcome, and a loving greeting, and a health as true as your own right hand. We shall both swear to leave you at home if you drink too deep to a certain pair of eyes. Come on. Yours as ever and always, Quincy P. Morris. Telegram from Arthur Holmwood to Quincy P. Morris, May 26. Count me in every time. I bear messages which will make both your ears tingle. Art. Jonathan Harker's Journal, continued, May 28th. There is a chance of escape, or at any rate of being able to send word home. A band of the locals have come to the castle, and are encamped in the courtyard. I have notes of them in my book. They are peculiar to this part of the world, though allied to the ordinary folks all the world over, and there are thousands of them in Hungary and Transylvania, and are almost all outside of the law. They are fearless and without religion, save superstition, and they talk only their own varieties of the Romani tongue. I shall write some letters home, and shall try to get them posted. I have already spoken to them through my window to begin an acquaintanceship. They took their hats off and made obeisance, many signs, which, however, I could not understand, any more than I could their spoken language. I have written the letters. Mina's in shorthand, and I simply asked Mr. Hawkins to communicate with her. To her I explained my situation, but without the horrors which I may only surmise. It would shock and frighten her to death if I were to expose my heart to her, should the letters not carry, and the Count shall not yet know my secret or the extent of my knowledge. I have given the letters. I threw them through the bars of my window with a gold piece, and made what signs I could to have them posted. The man who took them pressed them to his heart and bowed, and he put them in his cap. I could do no more. I stole back to the study and began to read. As the Count did not come in, I have written here. The Count has come. He sat down beside me and said in his smoothest voice, as he opened 2 letters, "The locals have given me these, which, though I know not whence they came, I shall, of course, take care. See," he must have looked at it, "one is from you, and to my friend Peter Hawkins. The other—" Here he caught sight of the strange symbols as he opened the envelope, and the dark look came into his face, and his eyes blazed wickedly. "The other is a vile thing, an outrage upon friendship and hospitality. It is not signed, well, so it cannot matter to us." And he calmly held the letter and envelope in the flame of the lamp until they were consumed, and then he went on. "The letter to Hawkins, that I shall, of course, send on, since it is yours. Your letters are sacred to me. Your pardon, my friend, that unknowingly I did break the seal. Will you not cover it again?" He held out the letter to me, and with a courteous bow handed me a clean envelope. I could only redirect it and hand it to him in silence. When he went out of the room, I could hear the key turn softly. A minute later, I went over and tried it, and the door was locked. When, an hour or 2 after, the Count came quietly into the room, his coming awakened me, for I had gone to sleep on the sofa. He was very courteous and very cheery in his manner, and seeing that I had been sleeping, he said, "So, my friend, are you tired? Get to bed. There is the surest rest. I may not have the pleasure to talk tonight, since there are many labors to me, but you will sleep, I pray." I passed to my room and went to bed, and strange to say, slept without dreaming. Despair has its own calms.